Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible and all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your expert, inept hosts. Joining me, as always, is our other expert and inept host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
I'm definitely inept. I
You're
don't
an
know about the
expert in
other.
things too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, let's just we can tame multitudes, okay? The yin
This is
and the
true.
yang.
This is true. We're all things all at once.
Exactly.
What's the crack? So I have a friend, I had a friend visiting who I haven't seen in almost like probably 3 years.
No, okay. Uh-huh.
So come and visit from Oregon, and we did all the things. And it's cool. It's kind of like when you visited in Oregon, where I was like, that was like what I called like the goodbye tour.
Yeah.
And I got to do all the things and see all the things. So it was fun to like go and like show her all these places and restaurants and fun things and like kind of see where I live like through different eyes. So
Yeah,
it was
it
good. It
is.
was good.
It,
Um, Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's good for like I think rejuvenating your feelings. I mean, like I think you're pretty happy with your place these days anyway, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
but for me it always is. It always makes me go, oh yeah. I mean, like I'm mostly happy with my neck of the woods these
Yeah.
days too. But it's
Yeah.
always it gets you thinking again in positive ways.
It was definitely like a lot of me like just like driving her around places and being like, I love it here so much. I love living here so much. I love it. So it's like,
That
you
really
know, yeah, it does. And it kind of like reaffirms the choices that I've made in life to
Yeah.
actually like, drive 22 hours, 24 hours south of where I lived for most of my life. Anyways, we did something that I have been wanting to do since we moved here, which
Hmm.
I'm about 45, 50 minutes from the border between Mexico and the United States.
Yeah.
So we drove down to Tijuana, and they
Hmm.
actually have a bridge that you can cross by foot.
Hmm.
And so we park, like you park, and then you walk into this building and they check your passport, and then you sign a form, and then you literally like, but it's weird because there's been a lot of talk about the border between
Hmm.
the United
What?
States and
What?
Mexico. I
I've
know,
not
right?
seen
Right.
any of
I
this.
don't know if, right?
Uh-huh.
Not a hot topic all over the
No.
world, but it was just interesting to actually see the border. Um, and so we did about like for only being there for like 5 hours, we did all the things. We were accidentally there for Tijuana Pride.
Ooh.
So like we showed up and on sort of like the main drag, and there was like a parade and
Hmm.
bands and music, and we were like up in this bar like having nachos and margaritas, like being complete tourists. But
Oh
like
yeah.
you could see everything. We were high up enough that you could see like the town, and but also it was just like then you could see the wall, and then just like Tijuana is a bustling city. There's a wall, and then there's just like nothing but like rocks and green space. So it's very evident like this side is America and this side is Mexico. So that was
Gotcha.
interesting. But I wanted to tell you, when you come and visit,
Hmm.
we went to the only luchador wrestling museum in all of Mexico.
That's awesome.
And I don't know if there's like other luchador wrestling museums in the world, but
That's a good
that's
question.
I
Hmm.
don't know. But so basically it's like one person's collection. And it's like a three-story building of all of this stuff that this person has been collecting for I don't know how long. So they have like a mini ring that you can like get in. I'll send you the picture because she actually they have like a website that you can go to and like find your photo, and you get to hold like their giant like wrestling belts,
Oh,
which is like
nice.
they're so big, Andy.
Yeah,
I'll
you
it's
sent
I
me a
sent you
you
one,
did, you did. Uh-huh.
but not like the wrestling belts, like they're half of my size. Like they're so big. And my friend's like trying to put hers on. I'm like, just hold it, just hold it. She's like, can you help me button it? I'm like, there's no way it's gonna stay up. It's huge. So they've got like masks, and they've got like I can't, there's so much stuff. Every toy, every mask, every card. And then they have this wall.
Uh-huh.
I think they call it the wall of hair.
Amazing.
and I took a photo of it and then I looked on their website and it's actually on their website. So there's like, and then there's like photos of people like covered in blood from the end of the match and like getting their hair snipped off. And like you look at this hair wall and there's probably like, I don't know, 300 different like cases of hair. And you're like, oh, that one's got blood and that one's got blood. And like,
Because
so it's
this
like,
is because sometimes with the masks there is a big shock of hair that's attached to them at the back. Yeah.
yes. Well, it's different. So I guess this was like in one of the early matches, one wrestler told the other one that if he lost that he would let the other wrestler like shave his head basically. And
Oh, I think I know what this is.
yeah, and so actually like the wrestler that was like you can shave my head won, but the other guy was like, okay, you can shave my head. And so now it's like a sign of like humiliation. So if you lose, they like get the buzzer out and like shave part of your head off, and
That's
then they
interesting.
keep this person who is, you know, the the biggest collector of luchador paraphernalia has managed to get his hands on all this hair
That's
for the
kind of
hair wall. So yeah, you're just like walking around. It's like, oh, it's a ring and masks, and then you're like, oh, it's that just literally like cases and cases and cases of bloody hair. It's kind of weird. So
that is not what I thought it was going to be because Beth had teed me up for this a little bit, and that is
I
not what I was
did,
expecting. That's kind of insane, but it makes me want to see it all the more, to be quite honest with you. That's
yeah.
a
And they just like have all these photos of guys like just like completely like with the shit beat out of him,
yeah.
covered in blood, and someone's like, all right, let's humiliate you a little bit more before you're done.
It it kind of adds some context to like some of the bigger US promotions have had matches like that, and I guess it adds context to that if it's something that's been happening in Mexico for like years and years.
I want to
How
say since
interesting.
like 1972 or something. I'm totally
Wow.
get it wrong. Someone please correct me. But it was fascinating. So highly
Did
recommend if you go to Tijuana. It's so easy to walk across the border. There's like you get a cab into town, and highly recommend this museum.
and then once you left there, you just got a load of drugs, duct tape them to your body.
Sure did.
Across the board.
It was
She
like
didn't
Midnight
actually do
Express.
that.
I didn't, but we did like they have like there was like a tequila museum, which I think is actually
Ooh,
just like a store, but the guy was like giving us all these little shots of tequila, and
jeez.
he was like, "Oh, you want to have good sex?" And we're like, "Huh?" And he pulls out like this bottle of mezcal, which is
Yeah.
kind of like tequila, but like with like a smoky flavor.
Yeah.
And in it in the bottle are scorpions. And he's like, "Do you want a shot of this?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." He was like, "Then you will have good sex for 30 days or something." And I was like, "All right."
Sweet.
Marianne's like, I'll have the bottle." I was like, "Great."
I gotta set
It's just
timer.
bringing one home. Yeah. I
I
was like,
love
"Good
it.
luck explaining that to customs." So yeah, it was good.
So did you know, and I don't know why I didn't bring this up in our previous episode, that I actually own a Luchador mask? I mean,
Do you
I
really?
really do.
Do you know
I
from what
so
wrestler?
so it
Or did you
is.
make it yourself?
I didn't make it myself. It is. I bought it, and it is a so like. Not only do Mexico have a tradition of luchador wrestlers, but so does Japan. So it's a Japanese luchador. I don't know whether they have a different name, but they also have a tradition of like masked wrestlers. So it's Ultimo Dragon is the name of the Japanese wrestler, and it's his mask that I have. I was thinking as you were talking, I was like, can I go and dig it out? But I think it's in the attic, so maybe for a future week I will show it to you. Problem being that
That's way cool.
it
I'm
is
looking at the photo right now.
so cool, and but the problem being that because of my massive dome, it does not fit on my head. I mean, it does, but it's not incredibly painful. It's painful enough that you do not want to keep it on for too long. So yeah, it's like crushing my head, but the pain's worth it for a while, right? So,
Right.
so you
Right.
know, and like any luchador would absolutely put up with the pain for the look of the thing, you know. So if I
Oh
want to
yeah.
like get into that mindset, I just need to get past it and just wear the mask. Okay, fine.
Totally.
You know what I've been doing with it in recent years is rather than having a star on my Christmas tree, I just put a Luchador mask on top of it. Uh,
Yeah, we
it
put weird
rules.
stuff on the top of our Christmas tree too. But having looked at it, like I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
It
it's
makes
cool. It's
absolute
awesome.
sense.
But yeah, um, was good crack for this week.
I know. Normally
Good
I'm
stuff.
like, nothing really. But
No,
yeah,
good,
I
good
have all the
ones.
crack. What about you? What's try and
So
top that, hair wall?
okay. Here we go. Shit. Well, so I have a nice one because I had a friend of mine who has moved to the Philippines. And like he has been living there. Well, he's been living in kind of Asia for, I would say, 5, 6, possibly 7, 8 years. I'm honestly not too sure. But like he spent some time in Korea initially, and then he moved to the Philippines.
Mhm.
He met somebody in Korea who was from the Philippines. They got married. They've had a kid now, so he's got like a 2-year-old boy, which is kind of wild. You know what I mean? Whenever like you don't see kids, I think I saw him very briefly last year, but now he's like, walking about, talking, like doing it, speaking in Tagalog a little bit, speaking in English a little bit. It's kind of rad. And so they were having a barbecue. They come over for like 2 or 3 weeks every sort of year to see his parents and the baby's grandparents, and they have like a barbecue type thing. And it was just lovely to see him. As I say, last I saw him very briefly last year, but I was able to actually spend the entire day down there, and it was one of those kind of barbecues that starts happening to me as everybody of a certain age it starts happening to, where you like. Uh, Prior to this, it would be a load of guys getting drunk, but now it's like a load of parents who are eager to pass their children over to you so that they can like escape for
Have
a
a
bit.
break, go to the
So
bathroom by
yeah,
themselves.
I was holding lots of babies, hanging out with babies, chatting to kids and stuff, and it was lovely. But I also, got to see my friends, got to catch up with some people I hadn't seen in a while. So it was nice. It was also it's not say a hot day, but like a
A
decent
day with
enough day
a
for
day
Northern
with some
Ireland.
sun.
Exactly. Some sun. Yeah, exactly. So it was good. And it was great to see him. And he got me, and it's something I've had before. I don't know if you've come across these. So he basically essentially brought a suitcase filled with Filipino snacks with them. And there is a brand called Boy Bawang. So
I
first
never heard of
word,
it.
boy, second word, Bawang. And they're like a mixture of stuff. They're like, what I really love about Asian snacks in particular is that they do not shy away from garlic. They have like, they had like this kind of there's lots of different kinds of this snack. One of them is essentially like almost like corn chips, like corn nut type things that are garlic flavor. But you will actually get full size like slices of garlic in there at times that have been like also deep fried.
Yum.
So good. They gave me like a mixed nut version, all of them garlicky as hell, and I love that. So I was delighted.
So no one's talking to you this week.
That's fine. It's what's new, says Andy.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
I'll not be teaching thankfully that much. And only be dealing with dogs, and dogs are kind of cool with that
Right,
stuff.
right.
But yeah, so like that's been most of the crack with me. Though I have a little bit more of an update from the hike in that. Well, I now have 900 pounds, which is amazing. So I think I've added nearly
Whoa.
100
So
since we
people are
talked last time.
still giving you money?
Yeah. Or it's
That's
maybe,
good.
yeah, it really is. Um, but my ankles have still not recovered. I have
Oh
had to put,
no.
yeah. And talking to a friend who's a runner, he's like, yeah, this is always the way it goes. He's like, muscles heal pretty quickly, but tendons and things like that, and more delicate parts of like knees and ankles can take a lot longer to heal. So,
What part hurts?
all my ankle,
You're
essentially,
like everything. My whole
yeah,
just time to cut it off.
yeah, big time.
Okay,
That
okay.
everything kind of along the top where it kind of curves down from your leg onto your foot, that part is tough, and like obviously it doesn't help if I'm doing like yoga postures and things like that. But as I say, I have been wearing a not a brace, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a compression sort of sock type thing, which is is,
Hmm.
is definitely helping. But
Okay.
yeah, well, a lesson for next time, if there is a next time, right?
Right.
The the other thing as well I should report is that
No good
like,
deed.
well, this is
Blah blah
exactly it.
blah. Right.
There was on the same day as I was doing it, I was registered as Andrew Young, and there was an Andy Young who had done it, and he did it in 6 hours, 40 minutes, and loads of people have been like, Go, congratulations,
Oh
what
my
an
God,
amazing,
you're
yeah.
yeah.
Because like he got like number four out of everyone, and people are legitimately going, "That was an amazing time." And I'm like, "Yeah, I wish it was me." And they're like, "You should just lie, just tell us that it was." I'm like, "No, it's stolen valor. I'm not prepared to do it."
So that's running, right? Someone ran that.
Yeah, somebody around that for sure.
That's
Yeah,
not walking. I was like, no.
and you could, and we definitely saw some people running part of it. I think you could definitely run part of it, but I don't think you could run it all. There's not a chance.
Mm-hmm.
It
They
just
tell you I
because.
have a friend who's a professional power walker.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, like Malcolm in the Middle. You
Yes.
remember that
I
episode
do.
where he's getting into power walking and like they've got those like
A speed
helmets that
helmet.
look like something out of Alien.
Yes.
But she's like a like Olympic power walking
Wow.
and like kind of her like fourth like she's in her late 50s. So it's a kind of like fourth career, late career kind of thing.
Good
But
for
she gets to
her.
go like all over the world to speed walk. So
That does sound familiar. I don't know if we talked about it on the pod before, but I think you've maybe mentioned it before. Now that you're
I
talking
have,
about it, yeah,
yeah.
that's cool. I
I
love
think that
it.
was like a car drive conversation,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
which we should have recorded, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. No, not everything's for content.
I know,
We've got
right?
to save,
Well, it's
well,
true.
we've got to save some stuff for us,
I know, I know.
You fiends.
Um, well, I'm glad you got to see your friend
Thank you.
and
Me
hold the
too.
babies.
Yeah.
Babies.
Babies, get my belly, etc., etc.
Get in my belly.
There is a video game that's come out recently called Still Wakes the Deep, and it's like it's set in the 1970s on an oil rig, and all the accents are in Scottish, and it's amazing. Like around the world, people are like, it's interesting seeing people try to figure out what the hell they're saying. Like the subtitles are in actual English, but there's tons of slang and things like that. And it's like the amount of like Scottish people are getting furious because they're like, oh, this quaint little Irish game with all these Irish voices. It's like, no, they're Scottish. But yeah,
I know the difference.
yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be fine, I think. You know Scottish, and
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
maybe.
probably.
No, not after the fish and chips guy.
Oh, that's true.
That just like yeah, blew me out of the water.
Yeah. I mean, like, that blew me out of the water, in fairness. So,
I know.
yeah.
Um,
Okay,
do you
so
have any occurrence?
I don't this week, no.
So we got some feedback on you watching the original Roadhouse.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so somebody was like giving their favorite quotes from the
Yeah.
original Roadhouse. Um, so they said I watched Roadhouse as a kid a few times, not really revisited, but it had some incredible banter like, "Hey baby, what say you and me get nipple to nipple?"
I forgot about that one. That one's amazing.
And the all-timer tough guy line during a fight. I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Yeah. Cracker. I
And
forgot
then I
about
was like, well, now I need to look at like all the Roadhouse quotes. And there was one that was like there's a sign over the urinal that says don't eat the white mint.
yes.
And now we're talking about how shitty the new Roadhouse is and how Conor McGregor sucks. So
Yeah. No, we're gonna get in trouble again. Those Conor
I
McGregor
know,
stands are
I
gonna
know.
freak
But
out.
they said this was not me, but they said as it's now been proven, you can't substitute that kind of thing with Conor McGregor and get the same result. And I was like, this is true.
So
I
true.
didn't say it, somebody else did, but
Yeah, don't come for us.
or do.
Yeah, or
I
whatever.
stand
Like,
firm in my belief that yeah, it was poorly
yeah,
cast.
yeah, that guy sucks.
Yeah.
Um,
That guy sucks.
so okay. So some of mine, because Beth had asked me about this, and I enjoyed "You're too stupid to have a good time." I just or Carrie to Dalton saying, "Hey, don't let him bother you. Morgan was born an asshole and just grew bigger." I just like the visuals.
I think I need to rewatch it. Like I think I watched it like 6 months ago because I knew the new Roadhouse was coming out, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like compare and contrast.
The-
And the lines are just like you can't.
it's one of these things that like it's interesting seeing it, having not seen it, until very recently, how influential it has been on other things that I've seen. And like the one that triggered with me most of all was at one point, and spoilers for Roadhouse, Dalton, our main character, rips a guy's throat out. It's wild, it comes out of nowhere. It's insane. And MacGruber, Will Forte's character, his like signature move is ripping throats out, and that's clearly where it came from. That's clearly where
Yeah,
that idea
yeah.
came from, and I just didn't know until now. It was so it's funny kind of making that connection in retrospect.
Ugh.
Yeah, because I remember because MacGruber at times has ripped three guys' throats out, and he was like holding up three throats. Guys, look, it's a triple. They call it a turkey, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's disgusting. What's wrong with you?" So good.
Just the gift that keeps on giving.
Really is. Um,
Uh, I forgot to title our
I've got
episode.
one. I've got
All
one.
right. Tell us what
So,
we're doing today.
all right, folks. So we're going to move into today's topic. It's about skills that we've acquired, and it's called Skills to Pay the Bills. And if you're
Ooh.
thinking, does skills and bills have a Z at the end? You would be correct. That's how we're going to spell it.
What's a Z?
A Z?
Oh, right. Call it a Z.
Yeah, we do. Oh, I don't think. Did you know that? Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Uh-huh.
Weird.
Right. So
So
yes.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
Jinx.
Jinx
Blackout.
indeed. I
I
know.
win.
Oh,
Jinx
fuck.
indeed. So yeah, like new skills we learned that changed us in some
Yeah.
way.
Um, and it was an interesting one because it's it's also something that, and we've talked about in previous episodes, I maybe struggle
Mhm.
to identify skills within myself or things that I'm good at. But I think I've definitely got better at this. And I think even some of the things that I think of, that I do have and I'm skilled at, um, I maybe diminish because I'm just like, well, everybody can do this. But I think as I've grown older, I realize that some of the stuff that I'm quite good at, a lot of people don't even have a negligible amount of ability in it. So, I can wear them more proudly on my sleeve as something I'm good at.
Mhm. I kind of went a little broad with the definition of skills
Yeah.
too, because like we think of skills as being like a work skill
Yes.
or whatever, but I kind of went a little outside that box, so we'll see if what I'm talking
I,
about counts.
I no, I think it will, and it'll be interesting to see what we think of skills are
Hmm.
of as. Oh no, I've completely lost track of that sentence. Yeah. Let's just chat and see
Things
what
and stuff,
happens.
things and
Oh,
stuff.
that's got away from me there. Um, okay.
Do you,
Shall I lead off with the first thing that kind of occurred to me when I was thinking about this, which
yeah.
was I feel like cooking skills
Mhm.
are something that I have developed. We talked before that whether I live to eat or eat to live, and I definitely live to eat. So like for me, learning how to cook, improving my cooking, trying new things, learning like how to cook all sorts of different things has been really important to me and something that I'm really glad that I have made the effort with because I feel
Mhm.
like not everything I cook's amazing, right? But I also, learn from my mistakes and they have made me better. I think that is one of the things that I needed to get past in terms of thinking about skills, which was that if you're a skilled at something, you will be 100% every time, but that's just not the case. It's about
Mhm.
just keeping on working on it and working on it and working on it, and and even if it's marginal improvements, you're kind of going to get there. But I think that I'm in a place now that I'm really happy with. I can turn my hand to a lot of different things. I have like, yeah, I've self-taught for the most part, but I've actually taken cooking classes and stuff in the past, and that's really helped me with fine knife skills and stuff like that. Like I still have a ways to go, but I feel like I am a lot better with a knife and things like that than I used to be, a lot better at certain, more difficult things while I was still kind of eating meat, like preparing meat and like how to like properly prepare a fish and things like that for cooking and all sorts of stuff, how to make pastry, how to make, and so on and so forth.
I think
Um,
you're a really good cook, like
thank you.
having eaten your food,
Yeah.
your kimchi,
Yeah.
kimchi toasties. But
Hmm.
like, do you find that there's an element of creativity in your
Yes.
cooking?
And and this is I was going to contrast this with another skill I have. Guess what? It's another food based skill, but like with baking, which is very much about precision.
It
But
is.
I really love, and it is the thing that's been hardest for me to get past is with cooking, improvising a little bit, kind of throwing something in and knowing the kind of difference it will make and having the confidence to do that. But we in the cooking class that I did, and this was maybe about 5, 6 years ago, um, the thing that I learned that always made me really happy, and this is such a Northern Irish thing, was that like we would have a recipe and it would call for like 200 grams of butter, and you had a 250-gram block of butter. And the cook that we were taught with, he goes, "Look, see if you got this much left over, just bucket on into the pot, just throw it on in there."
Bucket on in.
Bucket on in was amazing thing to say. Made me very happy and has been a great, and like again, this is a guy that had cooked for many years, had like cooked in like ships around the world, had like spent time in like pretty high level restaurants and stuff like that. So it's always kind of reassuring being taught with somebody from like a high skill level and seeing how they do it, and allows you to be a bit more confident in both how you have cooked in the past and like also how you will continue building on that.
Mhm. Also, like I do you find that you go somewhere like when you're cooking, is it like you're focused on that one thing in that moment
Yes,
and not other things like filtering in? You're like, okay, like these you have to concentrate,
you
right?
do.
Otherwise you end up putting tablespoons of salt instead of sugar in your cookies. But like I'm noticing a trend where like I didn't, this is like pre my time, but like home economics was a thing in
Yeah,
schools
same here.
and it's not anymore. So you taught you how to balance a checkbook and how to, cook a few things. And like kids are growing up now not knowing how to make food or
Yeah,
how to make jam or like even freezer jam, which is super easy. But
yeah,
like it's kind of like like a lost or dying art, and I'm sad for that.
me too.
Not everybody, but like it's a lot of grocery stores now are like half groceries and half like ready made.
Yeah.
Take it home and eat it. So
It's one of the things, and that is very much the definition of the skill I was talking about at the top here, which is that I just assume everybody can cook. But honestly, there's a lot of people that can't, that don't
yeah.
even know. I mean, they can maybe do like a grilled cheese, or they can maybe heat up something, but like they don't really know very much at all. So it's not something I take for granted. And I'm glad I've made the effort and continue to kind of like improve on it.
Hmm. Good. Okay, I have a bunch actually. I'm trying to
Hmm.
figure out. I'm gonna say figuring out how to finish projects.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so I think I've gone through a lot of life, like not actually being like, oh, I'll do this, and then like, oh, it's too hard or like whatever. And now I'm much better about picking the projects that I'm gonna work on.
Hmm.
And then I think part of it is just like watching Mike, I just call him the finisher because like he finishes everything he starts.
Wow,
Um, I know it's like it's something to behold.
that's awesome.
So like even if it's something small, and like finish is a relative term also, but like I'm pretty good at knocking stuff out. Like
Yeah,
gonna get it, here's the thing, I will get it done, and it's not just like I'm not gonna let it sit there and wither and die,
yeah.
basically. So,
That's a good one. I like that one a lot, actually. Yeah. I I think and I think. that's also true to me to an extent. I think like when I think about those things, I immediately think about the bigger sort of more creative stuff that I'm trying to get done. And I'd say I have like about a 1 in like 20 hit rate with that. But I feel like that is not too strange in terms of creative processes for a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, especially with those ideas, only some of them will come to fruition, and
Hmm.
probably working through other sort of ideas and then maybe not going anywhere is part of the process to finishing a project as well.
Hmm. And also like finishing a project can sometimes take like a decade,
Yes,
and that's okay.
agreed.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to make you feel bad.
No, you're not at all. I like that one. Um, okay, so I suppose I did cooking and baking there. That was a twofer, Andy. You're giving these away too easily. Um, okay, so I'm going to say, and I'm going to try to not encroach on a second one here as well. I think that yoga is a really valuable skill
I-
for me in recent years.
yeah.
It's, everybody's listening, going, "Oh, really, Andy? You like yoga? No way."
I wrote it down too.
Yeah, it has to be. And, both as a mental and physical practice, how important it has been for me. I think I am good at it now. I really do. Like, I think that I know what I'm doing. I understand. And the dividends it has paid off in terms of strength in my body, how I move my body, posture, mental sort of fortitude, all of those things. And I think, for years I had been trying to find a sport that worked for me and struggled to because I'm not really a big sort of like I'm not super competitive. Like there's certain things I am competitive in, but by and large I'm not really. And like so many
Competitive,
sports,
yeah, same. I'm like, I think you and I are similar. It's like I will never play a competitive sport.
I just have it's zero interest for me,
I just
truly.
I would want you to win. It's fine.
Yeah, this is
Go ahead.
exactly.
Get
It's
it
like go for it.
in.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, does this make you happy? Okay, cool. Good for you. So that's why, prior to this, the only thing that I had really connected with is swimming. It's another skill of mine, which I think I'm quite good at. I'm quite a strong swimmer. But this is good because I feel quite disconnected when I'm swimming, whereas with yoga, especially if you're doing it in a group of people, or sorry, with a group of people, you have that energy around you.
Hmm.
You have that like concentration, that connection, but you don't necessarily, it's still quite a solitary practice, which suits me quite well.
Hmm. But
And
you
also,
still feel like the energy of the people around you.
exactly.
Yeah. Kind of like in a weird way. And this is like, I'm not comparing the two, but it's similar like when you're on stage or you're doing improv and you've got that energy between the actors and the audience. It's just like there's an exchange of energy there. And I
Yes,
feel the same comes from yoga for
definitely.
sure. So yeah, that was on my list too.
Yeah.
I love it. And like for me, I think it was like that's another like thing that I followed through on.
Hmm.
And like that was a project that I finished. Like we both got our teacher certification,
Yeah.
and that was a big deal.
Agreed.
We done did the thing,
We did do
and
the
I'm proud
thing.
of us that
Oh
did
yeah.
it.
We,
I'm gonna say being my own advocate for my health.
ooh. Mm.
Yeah. Talk about like a skill you don't really want to have to
No,
learn how to
that's
do
true.
that, but like I finally figured out like, okay, literally no one will do a better job like advocating for me and taking care of me than me. And
Yeah.
like sitting around and waiting for a doctor or a healthcare provider to be like, all right, like you're not doing so hot, so let's try this. And it's like, no, it's like I given that my journey's been pretty convoluted and fucked up, you know, like I think Andy and I have talked about this, but like I literally write a letter for each new doctor I see where I'm like, here are my issues,
Yeah.
you know, here's what I need from you. If this isn't going to work, from your side, then I don't even want to meet because that's gonna like stress me out and waste our time. And I'm happy to move along and find somebody else. And also like I think there's a there's definitely like doctors don't like it when you Google things
Yeah, it's
and show
true.
up and you know, they like Dr. Google or whatever, but I find that a lot of times I'll find things that doctors haven't thought about. And then I bring that in, not necessarily saying, hey, I looked on Google and I found this, but I'm like, I read an article and this could be what's going on.
Yeah.
And maybe this is something we can explore. So yeah, so that's a long way of saying like being your own boss of your own health is a really, really good uh, thing
I
for
think,
overall
yeah,
wellness and health.
that's a really good one. I think it's something that people don't think, and I think there is a balance to be struck in terms of, following expert advice, but also kind of recognizing the limitations of that and also the restrictions that like doctors have. But yeah, I think that's a really good one.
Thank
Eh,
you. And like
mhm.
literally, sometimes you'll go to five different doctors for the same thing and get five different answers. So nobody really knows
No,
anything. It's
no,
kind of what I found. So,
very much so. Yeah, especially in something, or not especially in, but like something that is I think in a lot of people's minds, stuff that is kind of not set in stone necessarily, but people have a good idea of these things. I think once you investigate a lot of like health issues, you find that like even doctors have a cursory understanding a lot of the time, like they are still so much investigation into so many of these things. So yeah, it's definitely worth like keeping an open mind and kind of yeah, seeing what else is out there. Okay. Um, so And I wonder, is this a skill? You can tell me. I feel like I have a calming presence, right? I think that's a skill that I have. Like I think that I people are feel relaxed and at ease around me. I think that has helped
mhm.
me in a lot of the things that I've done, be that yoga teaching or just like socialization. And even though like I don't feel relaxed a lot of the time, I feel like I have that presence, that effect on a lot of other people. Even with animals and things like that, people are like having me around. It's a tonic for them. I don't think like, and I feel like that was partially like a defense mechanism in my part, but it is something that I have cultivated, that very much the idea of me wanting um to treat people the way I would like to be treated is how I kind of approach people. And I do treat people with like kid gloves and look out for them and try to be patient as much as I can, and that's what I want to,
Yeah,
but I think, it's maybe a symptom a little bit of, my mental state all of the time, but I think it is still a very kind of valuable life skill that has, really paid out dividends for me as well.
I would totally say that's a skill. I wrote down something similar, which is listening is as important as talking.
Yeah,
And I think that's part of why you have that calming effect on people. It's because you like allow space where they can talk to you or not talk and like feel comfortable around you. Like even just like looking at you right now, I'm like, ah,
yeah.
like, right?
I
It's like it's like you're a human volume.
thank you. And for a
Eh.
joke, as you were explaining how I'm good at listening, I really wanted to start talking over you there, but
You're such an asshole. I'm no longer calm.
haha, the
No, but
puppet
I
master.
totally like
Mhm.
it's like there are people where you do hang out with them and like it does stress you out or like
Yeah,
you know you don't feel like you can just be.
yeah,
And if you find people where you can just be, like, yeah, that's a that's definitely a skill.
yeah.
Everyone should be more like Andy.
Yeah, 100%. All right. And Be More Andy, my book,
Be more right.
this fall.
follow through on that project. I'm gonna say uh setting boundaries,
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
which I've struggled with my whole life. And I think it's really like probably over the last like 5 or so years that I've really started to um I mean, I knew what it meant, but I never really followed through on anything. And now I'm actually following through on things, even though sometimes it can be painful for me or others. But knowing what I can and can't, um, how do I say this? Knowing what I'm worth, I guess, is one
Yeah.
thing, but also and what I can and can allow in my life and what doesn't serve me in my life. And really like setting those things that don't serve me aside. Um, and allowing other things to come in that maybe wouldn't have had space before. So it's definitely a skill that has changed my life.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a good one. That really is. I
Yeah.
feel that is, I had something like that down as well. And I think it has become more, and it's probably true for you as well, more prominent in recent years. Probably the path that we've kind of both been on has really kind of helped develop that even more so. Um, and I'm grateful for it because I think it really helps all aspects of your life because they can really eat away at you whenever you're not setting those boundaries, I think.
And
And
even setting boundaries can eat away at
oh
you, but
yeah,
at the same time, it's like I think the damage is less.
yes, it's true. I mean, it's there's always damage.
Right? There's
is the
always
head
damage.
is the headline, but just
Uh-huh,
a bit
uh-huh,
minimizing it.
right.
I like it. That's a good one. Um, okay, so I um another one from recent years, and I mean it's always something I've kind of been circling my whole life is when I learned how to write poetry about 2 or 3 years ago, because it really kind of reopened that box for me in terms of thinking about what yoga, or not yoga, what poetry, got yoga in the brain, what poetry is, and also the freedom that's kind of inherent to that kind of form of writing. And that then in turn kind of affected how I think about writing generally, and kind of really kind of opened my brain up to new ideas and kind of new sort of directions I could kind of push that in. It was like writing generally had been something that for big periods of my life I'd essentially thought that it's never going to happen for me. I don't have the discipline or this talent really, but now I've realized that that's not what it's about. Unfortunately, like in recent sort of months, I just haven't really had the time for it, but it is something that I know I will get back to eventually. And um, I think that had I not taken the step to figure that out in recent years, I don't think that would be the case right now. And I'm excited for like the potential of that in the future for me.
hmm I wrote something similar down, like writing poetry or like any form of like creativity like that. Um, I love, you know me, I love writing poetry.
Yeah.
I had a website going for a while
Yeah.
that I unpublished, but I I kind of have been writing like that on and off through from like high school. I took a poetry class and now like I'm finding and I've thought about doing something like this. Now I'm just blabbing. I'm making it about me. But they have like writers like poetry workshops that you can go to in like
Uh-huh.
some fantastic place around the world and you just spend like a week intensive like around other people and you sit in silence and write and read your poetry and take hikes and go on walks and that kind of thing. And like that, I think maybe in the next couple of years, like that's something I think I'd like to explore a little bit
Oh
more
yeah.
and like be around other people that are also because it's such for me it's such a solitary thing.
Yeah.
Not that I don't love solitary activities, but also like wouldn't it be cool to do something like that like with other people?
definitely.
So
Yeah, I
throwing
like
that
that.
out. Maybe we'll go somewhere and do something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
mean, I'm up for that for sure. That sounds wonderful. Yeah, my immediate thought when you were saying that was, "Oh, let me go too," but I was like, maybe Beth wants to go by herself, so I don't want to
No,
jump on
no,
her.
no.
But like as soon as you opened that up, I was like, yeah, 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 sign me up, sign
I
me
want to
up.
go. I want to go.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
go. Um, that's a good one.
Uh,
Okay.
mhm.
I'm gonna say, and this may be something you've written down, learning to meditate.
No, not really.
You're like, no, it's not written down. So I will say like transcendental meditation finally like got me kicked me in the right place to be like, oh, this is how you do it, or at least for me, this is how I do it. So, and I'll, I use it in my own way. Like there's definitely like a way you're supposed to use it, but kind of like, what is it? Bucking the butter in the pan. What was it?
Fuck it in.
Yeah. So it's like I kind of do that with transcendental meditation where like before bed I'll do it, or like if I'm like just laying on the couch,
Yeah,
like you're supposed to like definitely like I can't sit up and do it because it makes me nauseous. But that's a skill that I followed through on and I definitely utilize it probably
that's
every
a good
day.
one.
Yeah.
Like, and I've definitely talked about it before. It is something that I have tried in the past. I really struggle to quiet my mind completely.
Hmm.
And I think my way in has been to reframe what I think of meditation as, and I think about it
Yeah.
more as like if I play video games, video games that calm me at least anyway. There is a flow state that I kind of get into that I
Yeah.
find immensely calming to my brain.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. It's a good one. Um, And one of the more kind of, I guess, literal skills is, I guess, and I'm going to just generally say like IT. And it was absolutely something that I have worked in for many years. I kind of, a career I fell into because I kind of, I am a curious person. And whenever I was a kid, PCs, technology was such a sort of growing thing. I mean, it still is obviously now, but like it was so kind of exotic and exciting to me, so that I was just naturally attracted to it. I think that like I don't have a particular affinity to it. I don't think like I've done some coding and stuff before. I've written a few programs here and there, but it never was something that really worked for me in a major way. But I do enjoy the problem solving nature of like hardware, software problems, and even though like a lot of the sort of very kind of narrow skill set that I had is gone, I still think I can approach a lot of those sorts of things in a sort of a way to kind of I've got to kind of figuring them out. You know what I mean? If I can be patient and take my time, it has, and it's something that serves you so well in this kind of day and age, because like there is so many IT, it becomes a bigger and bigger thing. I mean, by and large, on the surface, so many things are now just built to work, but it's more like when they don't work, a lot of people struggle with that, and it's something that I don't really struggle with. It's something that I have because of the years of craft and things like that, that I really feel like I have good idea of how to start solving this stuff. Not that like, for example, I came home the other day and this computer wasn't switching on or the monitor wasn't working, and I was in a bit of a time crunch, and I was like, oh, so I was like angry about it, but I was still like working through the steps and you know saying where the issue was it with the connection, was it with the monitor, was it with the PC, blah blah blah, just working through those things and finding where the issue was and then working on a solve.
And be like, oh, it wasn't plugged in.
Yeah, turn it off and on again. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally think that like even though I bitch about technology all the time, but like even doing this podcast and like figuring out like each of our parts
Yeah.
and like learning how to do certain things and
Yeah.
like, video editing and all of that and like uh it's been really I like this is stuff I live for, like learning new programs and figuring
Yeah.
out how to do something. And like we're essentially podcast producers. And Doug, when he's,
Dog.
not crying in the
I haven't
corner,
seen him for
I
weeks now.
haven't either,
That
no. But
scumbag.
like, but like we're doing something, right?
Yeah.
this is
exactly.
like the podcast itself, like this is a skill that we've learned how to do, and
So
like
true.
we're following through on it. We're producers of our own shit. Like this is we're really good at it.
Yes,
Pat
we
yourself on the back.
are. Congratulations, Bev.
Yes, you too. Um, so this is something I'm working on more and more, is telling people what they mean to me and that I appreciate them.
That's a good one.
And I think it's just because my family's been gone for the last couple weeks and I've had some friends visiting, and friends that I haven't seen in a while. And it's just like, you know, kind of like whenever it hits me to tell the kids I love them, like I just say it. And I'm trying to be like that more with, my friends that I love too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
So I
I
appreciate you, Andy.
thank you.
That's what I'm
Appreciate
saying.
you
Yes.
too. I think that is such that's a really underappreciated thing, and I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, it doesn't need to be said, and that's bullshit. Honestly, it does need to be said, and it should be said
Yeah.
because, like, um, people don't know, and people also kind of need, even if they maybe do know, it's nice to have a wee top up every now and again. Do you know what I mean? Like I've seen some great sort of like memes and stuff in recent years where it's like tell people you love them, tell them all the time, make it irritating.
Yeah. Right.
And that's and that's the way it should be, honestly. Because like it's nice and we all have moments of like doubt as well. And those little things, as big or as small as they may be, can make a lot of difference.
Agreed. So yeah, so
It's a good one.
yeah, I'm working on it.
Um, okay, I have mostly, hard skills, I guess now. So I'm an excellent driver, excellent driver, excellent driver, as they say. Thank you. I think that like
Uh,
that's
what?
this is a this is another good one where I would say like, nuts and
Excellent
bolts.
how?
Okay. Here's how why I think I'm good in that I have driven in countries all over the world. I have
Oh
driven in
yes.
dodgy circumstances all over the world. I have
Yes.
driven in really dangerous roads and in really kind of ropey weather conditions. And I'm not scared of it. And like I think that something that I have noticed is that I have traveled with people, experienced drivers, people who've driven years more than me, who will go to a different country and be like, I don't really want to drive here. And I'm like, I can do it. It's not a problem. I think that like, don't get me wrong, I still like, struggle with gear changes and stuff like that sometimes, especially in my crappy ass, well, not crappy ass car, but my current car. And like I still have bad habits and things like that, but I think I am pretty calm on the roads and can handle a lot of shit. And again, that's another thing that I was like, well, of course, everybody can do this. They just need to try. But so many people do not want to even try it and
No.
find it kind of scary. Um, you like after our teacher training in Costa Rica. We went traveling. We came back. We ended up staying a lot later than we thought. It was dark, very dodgy back roads, torrential rain, really kind of scary, kind of. And like I remember everybody else in the car freaking out significantly more than I was. But it was nice.
You're
I
like,
kind of,
I'm driving, we're
yeah, it's
good.
exactly. It's all right. Don't worry about it. I've got it. If something
Yeah.
happens, it
Well, and
happens.
like when you came to see us in Oregon and then you flew to LA, I think, and rented a car in LA,
I rented a car in Arizona and drove it to LA.
Arizona, and drove to LA, and I'm like, "Ah, like, are you I remember being like, are you sure you want to do
Yeah.
that? And you're like, yeah, it'll be fine. Like, and I'm like, it's really intense. And you're like, it'll be fine. And like,
Yeah. Driving in
it's
LA is a trip, like
yeah, it is. It is. It's its own
nightmare.
there's a reason that it's such a big topic of conversation
Yeah.
with people that live in LA. Like where are you going? Which highway are you gonna
What route are you
take?
taking? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Are you gonna take the 5? At what time of
Yeah, yeah.
day? It's like that's half of what the conversation is. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying. You are a very good driver.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that that's another thing that I would have not been. But it's only in recent years I've been like, yeah, you know what? Because like I throw me into any sort of situation and I will be happy to take the responsibility of driving. You know, I'm good at
Mhm,
that.
mhm. Good to know. I don't know. I like just being in Tijuana, I was like, I'm so glad I didn't drive across the border. Cause like the way they four-way stop is no one really stops. They just keep like inching their way forward. And like it's very intense. I'm
I
just like,
Yeah, because I'm considering doing that if I come over to visit
yeah,
you guys if I can.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
You'll be
yes.
fine. Like
Yeah,
if you
I think
can
I
do
will.
LA.
I like
Yeah.
I kind of don't mind that. Like, and as well, I there's so many times that we don't have four-way stops here, but we have roundabouts, and occasionally
Mhm.
everybody will arrive at a roundabout at the same time. And there's often times a lot of people go, should I drive? Oh, should I go? If I get those situations and there's even a pause, I immediately go because I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody's got to break this up. And
Yes.
everybody else is going to sit around going, "Oh, is it time for me to go? Is it time?" And I'm just going to go. And if
Yep.
like somebody else goes, that's fine. I just put the brakes on and let them go first. You know, it's no
Yep.
big deal.
Yep.
But yeah, so yeah,
Um, okay, I'm gonna say work isn't everything.
yeah,
And I think I've talked about like how for a long time work was everything.
yeah,
Um, and I've really come to the realization that it actually is less than, it's not less than nothing, because I don't want to like, obviously, like, there are certain things that people, certain jobs that are absolutely necessary that we need people to do. But like on the whole, it doesn't make you who you are. It should not define your identity.
yeah,
Like there are so many other amazing facets of each of us. And it's like, it's that, cliche thing that you like meet someone, you're like, oh, what do you do? And it's like, I think there's a Heath Ledger quote where he's like, people always ask you what you do, but they never ask you if you're happy.
yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of where the place I want to be. It's like, are you like, who are you? What do you like? Are you happy? And I think part of it too is like not when I had my job, when I had to quit my job because I was too sick to work, it was like, oh my God, who am I?
Yeah.
What do I what am I outside of this? And for a while I couldn't figure it out. And now I know,
Stuff.
it took time, but I'm all these other things, and all those things make me who I am. And um, there's not to be trite, but like, on people's deathbeds, they're never like, I wish I'd worked
I know
another,
exactly.
80-hour week or whatever. So
I think
um,
that's one of the
letting that
things.
letting that go is a skill.
Yeah, and I th very much so. I think one of those things they say about like a lot of the like, yeah, these clickbaity sort of deathbed confession type things is that people are
Yeah,
always like, I wish I spent more time with the people that I loved. I wish I
yeah,
had made more
yeah,
connections, you know. And I think we're both good at that, you know. And
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that that's
Although I don't think
useful.
they're ever like, I wish I'd set more boundaries
Yeah,
either.
well, that's true. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe maybe
Uh,
whenever our generations
maybe.
are in retirement homes, they'll be saying those
Uh-huh,
things.
uh-huh.
Okay, so like I think I really don't have loads more, but what I have is, and
Let's
I
see, just pick one more each.
yeah, so basically it is something that I think that I kind of am naturally have. I think I've developed it, but something that I've always had, which is I have a really good sense of direction and I'm really good at kind of navigating. And like there is a massive contrast in this in that I do not remember street names at all. They just do not stay in my brain. But if I'm kind of given a space and if I'm like in charge of like navigating, I get very good at it and I really kind of figure out and like as I'm walking, I will find we distinguishing features of different streets and things like that that kind of that I will trigger things in my brain that allows me to navigate and I'm really kind of I would be always been really proud of how good I am at that. And again, same as with some other skills, doesn't mean I don't get it wrong sometimes. I have absolutely got lost, but I am by and large pretty good at that sort of thing. And it's always something that I've been quite kind of proud of.
That's amazing. I'm so jealous that you have that skill.
Mm.
I have the opposite where I literally think that any direction I'm facing is north.
Oh dear. That is dangerous.
I know. So, usually when I'm like, I think I know where I'm going, like where I'm going is the opposite direction of where I need to be going,
Getcha.
literally. So I have none. I always talk about this. Like I was talking to my friend about this the other day. Like if we didn't have things like modern technology and glasses and like braces, like I would be hairy. I would have like a mustache and a unibrow and like horrible teeth, and I would be blind
Mhm.
and like and then I would be walking in the wrong direction.
Whereas me being a genetic Übermensch or whatever, no change, right?
No.
Just crazy as a fucking kick. Apart from that,
Um,
uh,
okay, my last one, let's see. Never stop learning something new.
yeah,
Like I'm always obsessed, and granted, like whatever I'm obsessed with isn't like gonna better the world in any way necessarily, like right. I'm not gonna talk about Barbara Streisand right now.
but
Um, but like I get obsessed with things and then I'll learn as much as I can about, the person or
yeah,
whatever the thing is, like yoga, and go as far as I can. Um, and I hope to do that my whole life because I think that's going to keep my brain
yep,
fucking
I,
plump and gorgeous,
exactly. In the bloom of youth,
right?
I I think that is a world changer, honestly. And I think if more people were curious, like honestly curious, and like, lived in the vulnerability of that, it would be better for everyone. And I think that doing that sets an example for other people that I think is valuable for human beings generally.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, it's like read an autobiography
Yeah.
of rock and roll star or
Exactly. And like but it's like, just about finding out about something that an area of life that you don't know about. I like
Mhm.
have read books in the past about subjects that I know nothing about. Like I always find it interesting that people like read books of an area they're interested in. I'm like, well, why? I mean, you maybe learn a bit more, but like I read a book, an autobiography about a surfer, this guy who was like an early generation sort of surfer whenever surfing was just kind of kicking off in the 70s, and about how he traveled the world to try to find new surfing spots and things like that, and how he kind of saw that community kind of formalize and things. And it was such an interesting insight into a world that I'll never really know. And I think that seeing those things gives you such a nice kind of shade on all other aspects of life.
I love learning about what other people love to
Yeah.
do or learn about.
Yes.
Like, yeah. Endless Summer changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read.
That's
Okay.
that's yeah.
That's the documentary,
Probably
is it?
yeah.
Yeah, I knew that name. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And it's
Uh,
got that like iconic poster that people have on
yes.
their walls. Yes.
I love it. Okay. I think
So
that's a
yeah,
good place to end.
here's to having skills that pay the bills with a
Exactly.
Z.
Both skills and bills with
Bills
a Z or a Z,
Z.
whatever you prefer. Great. Okay. So in that case, it's time to move on to our final section, which is to ask you what's been bringing you joy.
I got to go down. I love the ocean, and so the airport here is like right by the ocean.
Hmm.
So I had dropped off my friend at the airport the other day, and basically like went to my favorite restaurant, which is like right on the water, surrounded by like these pirate ships that you can go on and like naval ships that you can go on. And
Hell
it
yeah.
was like, it was just a pretty day, and the pelicans were flying, and I had like, it was happy hour too. So I had a cheap drink and a cheap shrimp cocktail, and it was
I
like under $50.
love it.
And it was just like fucking gorgeous and nice. And it brought me joy.
That sounds good. I like it a
Yeah.
lot.
What about you?
Mine it's just having a nice weekend, as I say. Lovely to see friends. I had a nice
Yeah.
mixed weekend. I had on Friday night a let's call it fungal ceremony
Uh-huh.
with some friends, and it was just lovely. Especially friends that are in the same sort of wavelength as me, and we had some really nice kind of like in-depth chats. It was just a lovely kind of reaffirming sort of time with some people I love. Then same thing, next day, more sensible sort of barbecue again with a lot of people that I love, but and it was just nice to have those like contrasting experiences and still kind of be in such a kind of lovely place in both of them, so
That's
that was
so
just
great.
it was just a good weekend.
Good.
Also I have so I always was looking for my way in, but I've been listening to a lot of like Charlie XCX over the past week.
Uh-huh.
I'd heard some of her stuff and I liked it and thought it was decent, but it
That's
was
you sent me that
no, I
video. Is
sent you
that
that was something different, but
okay? I
it,
couldn't I haven't
don't
watched
worry,
it yet,
don't
but
worry, don't worry. No, this is
okay.
Charlie XCX did like Fast Car for like the Barbie movie and has
Oh,
a
okay.
ton of other stuff, but she's like
Okay.
much more of a dancey sort of pop artist.
Mhm.
And she had a song that came out this year that I heard on the radio, was like, holy shit, listen to it non-stop. Have been listening to her most recent album. It's just incredible. So,
Awesome.
check out Charlie XCX.
Writing it down.
Okay. I'll send you the
Uh,
song that I really like. And as I say, that album's great as well. But yeah, the
Okay.
album that I was listening to for anybody at home is called Brat.
Okay.
Brat.
Rat.
Okay, folks. So yeah, we're coming to the end of
So,
this week's episode.
yes,
Oh,
don't
wait.
forget to check out our website. It's
Yeah.
bendypodcast.com. Follow us on the socials,
Mm-hmm.
and we're on the TikTok, so you can watch our shorts on
The
there.
TikTok.
Yeah, the TikTok until they ban it.
That's what all the kids are into, I hear these days.
Right, right, right.
Nice. Okay, okay. In that case, as always, we'd like to remind you to Bendy. It was kind of like an om this time. Love it.
Uh-huh.
Or
I
wait,
was
om.
thinking,
Damn it.
um,
All right,
um,
whatever. Goodbye. We love you.
bye. We love you. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye bye. Nice.
That's good.
Was.
Yeah, I had like,
Do you
yeah,
have
I had
more?
credit cards are the devil. I didn't get
Oh,
to
wow.
that
That's a
one.
good one. That's a hell of a good one.
Learning to say no, but the rest of them we got to.
Stop this.